Good evening. I would like to convene the Cumberland School Committee meeting this evening, January 23rd, 2025, at 7 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda? Motion by Mr. Bacon.
Second.
Second by Ms. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 6-0. Please note, Ms. Feather is not in attendance this evening. Next, I'd like to do the student government report.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Rojano, and I'm here with Sam Henderson. Student government opened the year 2025 with a winter ball held on January 17th, the annual classic at state-owned Rick's Chicken Farm was success as always, with numbering the ticket sales for under 300.
In February, we will start semester 2 with a book drive that will run from February 3rd to the 14th. The donations of books will go to the public libraries as well as a few other charities. Additionally, on February 11th, we will be hosting an in-school blood drive for eligible donors. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Next, the consent agenda. I'd like to approve the minutes, regular meeting 1/9/2025, and approval of minutes for executive session 1/9/2025. Do I have a motion? Motion by Ms. Goldstein, second by Mr. Bacon. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 6-0. Next, personnel announcements. Ms. Drezek?
Hi, good evening. Tonight I have one appointment, effective January 22nd, 2025, Sarah Pine, grade 8 math at McCourt, 1 year only.
Thank you very much. Next, report out of executive session meeting. The report of the executive session meeting on 11/7/2024. On 11/7/2024, the school committee voted unanimously that it would agree to go to level 4 on a CTA grievance 2023-2024-4 if the CTA asked to go directly to level 4. Report out of executive session for 1/23/2025. The committee did not take any votes in this executive session. Can I have a vote to seal the minutes?
Vote to seal.
Motion by Ms. Smith. Second by Ms. Goldstein. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes 6-0. Superintendent's report.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to start tonight off with a special treat. We have the McCourt's Select Course here with Ms. Shannon Davis. If you could all please come on up. You can come right over this way. Actually, Mike, you want them there?
Good evening. I'm Shannon Davis. I am the choir director at McCourt Middle School. These are 40 of our auditioned group students. So we do have about 100 students in each grade who participate in chorus. So about 300 students out of the 400 and some odd kids that we have. So it's a very large program. And these are our 40, well, maybe not 40 tonight, but 40 of our students who auditioned and got chosen for this select group. We will be performing we'll be doing a lot of performances this year, but it will be culminating in the Great East Festival on June 6th, where we will be adjudicated. We will be doing 2 pieces tonight. Both pieces are by the composer Pink Zebra. The first one is Winter with You, and the other one is Jazz Waltz of the Sugar Plum Fairy with our soloist Ava Rodriguez.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Thank you, Ms. Davis. Thank you, McCourt Select. As I told some of the students, we do have that on YouTube, so if you want to watch the full show, you'll have it recorded. Let him get out for a second. Can you read that?
Yeah, I'm not going to read it.
All right, now we're going to pivot a bit to school accountability, and Mr. Damana will lead us through exactly what that means. Mr. Damana.
Thank you, Dr. Thornton. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Dr. Thornton asked me to talk really briefly about our accountability system results that were released by the state not too long ago. And so basically, the accountability system is a way for the state to rate our schools and assign basically a report card grade to our schools in our district. There are a number of variables that they use to determine it. They're mainly achievement driven. So things like ELA and math achievement, ELA and math growth for students. And they algorithmically have, mathematical formulas that allow for them to use in order for them to determine whether our students are making appropriate growth year to year. Things like student absenteeism, teacher absenteeism is taken into account. Science scores are going to be part of the accountability system. And so in our district, we had 2 5-star schools. We had 3 4-star schools, 2 3-star schools, and 1 2-star school. I met with members from the data team at RIDE last week with my team. We had a really good conversation about some of the things that we need to pay attention to when we're strategic planning and when the schools are putting together their strategic plans for their respective school communities. And so we use this information to drive the decisions we make to improve school performance overall. But I would say when we take the average of all of our schools, it's about, we have about a 4-star rating as a district. Are there any, the actual ratings for each school are right there. Does anyone have any questions for me about any of the metrics or any of the stars in particular? Yes, Madam Chair.
So my understanding is it's based on the lowest star. It's like a building blocks, correct, versus an average. So if you get a 4, 5, 3, 2, you're automatically, is that the same?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. One of the things that the state has tried to fix, and I think Dr. Thornton has alluded to this in previous meetings, the multilingual learner subpopulation has been a population that drove a lot of those 2-star ratings in the state. And so that was true in our district as well. They've since tweaked the formula and in a good way. And so we're hoping that that would have a positive impact on us moving forward. But you're absolutely right. So of all the metrics, the lowest star rating in all of those metrics is the metric that they assign for the report card. Thank you.
Could you explain a little bit the jump from Cumberland High School? Because I think they were a 2 last year, and was that part of the formula that was readjusted because they're now up to 4?
Yeah, Cumberland High School, that was exactly, that was the measure that brought them down to a 2-star last year, unfairly so, in respect to the high school and all of the work that they do. And so that change in the metric drove that score to be back to a 4-star. And when the accountability system started, that's where the high school has been consistently a 4-star high school. That's it. Thank you.
All right, moving on. Just another few thoughts on enrollment. I know in fiscal sub tonight you also talked about state aid a little bit, and it kind of ties in. First, I wanted to just go back to NESDEC. I know last week, talking to some of you folks, there was some maybe wonders, how accurate is NESDEC. So I did go back and kind of did like a worksheet for you to show you. So essentially, if you see green, it means we're a little above the prediction, and red a little below. Essentially, every year, in 2017, they hit it on the button. I call it a 1.0. You can see there. 2018, 0.98. So every year, NESDEC is probably within 2 percentage points, either 0.98, 1.02. That's pretty good. But now, Mr. Dean last week had a good point talking about local and Cumberland. So I just wanted you to know we are doing some local work. I am on the TRC, Technical Review Committee. We actually met last week on a condo complex near Abbey. Is that right, Mike? And so we did talk about how many kids might be in the 12 condo complex at Abbey. So we are, part of those conversations. I'll be going to more of those review committees for the other construction projects. So I just wanted you to kind of know about that. Also with enrollment, I know in fiscal sub you talked about state aid. State aid numbers come out every year the same night. It's the night of the trust annual dinner. And it came out again this year, and everyone had their phones out. And surprisingly, a lot of districts that had either the same or more students got a good deal more state aid. And we tried to kind of unpack it and see why that is. Looks like they tweaked the quadratic formula again. More funds for poverty and more funds for multi-language learners. So in Cumberland, I was looking at our enrollment. Last March, we were 5,100 kids, March 1st. That was our state aid number for last year. This fall, October 1, our next measuring stick, we were like 5,047. So I was kind of worried we're going to take a hit on the state aid, but we didn't. Right now, they're forecasting 1.9 million of state aid for Cumberland. But in perspective, Providence got, I think, maybe 2.5 or 3 million for like quadruple the number of kids. But so we're doing well in that respect. Other good news is for fiscal sub and for your budget process, we've gained 29 kids since October 1. Our next measuring stick is March 1 again. If we stay 29 kids above, we'll expect a little more in state aid. Before you want to run off to spend that, I would say just keep in mind last year's budget, we use a healthy amount of fund balance, right? Factoring in the raises that are coming in, the pension. So it's a good thing for Cumberland. We're not going to be, I think, in the situation of some other districts that are really in dire straits. It is welcome news, but it really is driven by enrollment and the formula. So I just wanted to share that with you if I could. My last piece, I'm not going to talk about Cumberland Hill or BF tonight. We have some other projects going on, the smaller projects, and I'll give you updates on those. The first one is the high school roof and security. The high school roof, there are 13 sections, if you break it out. There's one really, really bad section. It's the guidance entrance that you come in. That leaks profusely. And that work has been submitted to RIDE. It's called this schematic design. So that's going to be now, put to RIDE for their input, to get their drawings back, and that'll be happening this summer. Also, the high school cameras are going in, or modern cameras, because the systems we have are quite dated. Door alarms, and also card readers. And finally, a PA system at the high school. Our PA system is very dated, past its useful life. That's all part of that package for the bond, all bond projects. Second project, NCMS. It says NCMS elevator. Right now, NCMS has a lift. A lift is not an elevator. Lifts can't hold the same weight as an elevator. Historically, NCMS's lift breaks. It has for years and years. So finally, we're putting in an elevator in the existing shaft. Also, a picture as you walk into NCMS, you'll see a vestibule now, a bump out, a second set, called a man trap, second set of doors like other schools. That's going in. And also, once again, PA system and some camera work there. Community, like I said, not a lot to report. I did walk the building again today. We did some more work talking about some more gutters that we need. We looked at some foundation work that has to be shored up, but not a ton of movement from last week, so I don't want to spend time on that. Playground, just plug that again. You saw, I think maybe a month ago, Mr. Rath did some drawings on that. Now we actually are kind of finalizing the timeline. Looks like April, early April. The first one to go in is Cumberland Hill. We're also adding in fencing around the playgrounds. Historically, there's been a problem sometimes with just not having a fence. So that's going to be part of the design. May 1st, it's Garvin, and June 1st, it is Ashton. So those are all underway in design, and they're all moving forward. So happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Mr. Bacon?
So I have two questions in regards to BF Norton. I know you didn't want to talk on behalf of BF Norton. The first one being, I'm aware that there is a Veterans Memorial behind that school. Are there plans to move that Veterans Memorial? Because we did spend $400,000 to $500,000 in construction of that. I just want to make sure that that is happening. Is there documentation stating that?
Yes, actually, early on in the process, the mayor made us aware of that, and so did one of the veterans that was really involved with that. And our design has the memorial moved to the front of the building with a green area really abutting the sidewalk, like a green area. If you look at BF, it'd be the front left. So the whole thing's coming up, taking all the existing items, all being put up. I can send you a drawing tomorrow to the committee to show you what it looks like. But the front, if you're looking at it from, looking at Broad Street, front right.
Very good. And then my second concern was related to the discussion last week. I had asked a question to Collier's group, possibly reincorporating the field into the ball field into a redesign, assuming that Chevron parking area was going to be moved, and it was brought up that there was a possibility for that new pond park that was being developed. Essentially, that would be where that park would be. the breeze had reported yesterday, that same day, which I unfortunately did not read it. But that seems to be a holdup with that, and there's some potential issues. I just want to make sure that we stay vigilant with that. You know, we need to ensure that there is a ballpark for these children to be able to, get out and play. That's all.
Understood. I can share, while there's no space for a ballpark on the BF site, today's meeting, we did talk about, I'll call it like an elementary-style soccer field. Not a full-size soccer field, but a smaller elementary version soccer field will fit in the footprint. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thornton. Okay, next we have reports of standing committees. Fiscal Management Subcommittee update, Ms. Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The fiscal subcommittee did meet earlier this evening, and one of the discussions, as Dr. Thornton has just said, was about the potential increase on the state funding, so that was quite positive. Mr. McGrath also let us know that the audit verification has been completed, so that's also a very good thing that it's finally done on that side. And Mr. DeJesus, who's not here this evening but was here earlier, did let us know that in facilities they have been dealing with a lot of heat issues, of course, with the colder than expected weather. So they've been attending to all of those and all of those calls. And also where we reduced the snow removal and took a lot more in-house, he said it did go okay for this snow removal, and that, the team has to get used to the equipment, and they are looking to add a few more snow blowers in there, but that, it did go okay, and they're tweaking all the little things after the first storm that they need to improve on. And they did use the outside contractor for 3 schools, but that was part of the contract that we would use them for some times. So, and that was all for tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Policy and Procedures Subcommittee update, Ms. Feather. Ms. Feather is not in attendance this evening. Oh, it's this Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay, Policy and Procedure will meet this Wednesday, the 29th?
Yes.
Yeah. Achievement and Communications Subcommittee, Ms. Shea?
We actually have achievement on the schedule for the 29th next week. And
District, sorry.
Oh, my apologies. District Health and Wellness, we're hoping to get one on the schedule for sometime next month.
Excellent, thank you so much. Next, comments from the public? Okay, no comments from the public? New business, discussion only of the 2025-2026 school calendar. Any members of the committee have any discussion? Oh, yes,
Yeah,
Dr.
so
Thornton,
Madam
I'm
Chair,
sorry.
just a few thoughts on that. Obviously, it's discussion only. You have a couple of versions in your drive. Also, you have the RIDE recommended one. Really, these calendars both start at the same time. The difference is one's a full February vacation, one's a shortened February vacation. It only changes the end date by a couple days, June 18th, June 16th. I did talk again through my office with both unions. I want to just read what they're thinking. CTA Kerry Carlson said, year after year, faculty members overwhelmingly vote for a full 5 days off on February break. Professional input from the CTA should be valued. And Kelly McPherson of ICSE said, the shortened February break is definitely not preferred. Thank you for taking ICSE into consideration when looking at the calendar. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? All right. I actually have a couple, sorry. The one with full February break matches RIDE, and I know we spoke about last year after construction, that full February break back, so I completely support that. Also, the April break seems to be later, but it looks like it lines up with Massachusetts, and it's lining up with the RIDE calendar. Normally, it's not that late. Is that, I don't know if that's something new this year. And do we get the 3 days, I'm going to say free. They're not free. We're putting the time in. But do we get those 3 days at the end that if there's inclement weather or reason for closure, it doesn't affect the end date?
Let me check on that again to be positive. I don't want to say it if it's not the case. Let me have that for you next meeting.
I appreciate that. Any other questions from the committee? Ms. Goldstein?
I'm just asking about professional days, the professional development days. Are they, some of them able to be moved? I'm looking particularly at the one that is January 30th. Could it be, is it something that's possible to be moved to be, say, January 20th, so it coincides with MLK Day, and isn't another sort of just floating out there as another shortened week?
The answer is yes.
I would be in favor of that. Thank you.
Ms. Smith?
Dr. Thornton, on the professional days, is this typically how many we see? I thought that we had them so that there's a few before school starts and then there's minimal within the school year. This aligns to the past years?
This is the same.
And I know that Melanie does a great job putting everything together and doing a lot. I find this to be much more difficult to read, and that's just probably my age. And I think if we're passing this out to the public, it's easier, the less busy it is. So if we can try to format later into the other format, I would appreciate that.
That's funny, because we were getting people saying it's too small and they can't read it, so we
Yeah.
had to shake it up. But I guess you guys can tell us, maybe even weigh in with us, which one do you want, the old format or the new? You guys tell me, we'll do whatever you guys want.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, yes, Ms. Goldstein.
Do you anticipate that this is the last year for the after Labor Day start?
Yes.
Any other question? Oh, Mr. Dean?
Yeah, we went to that training recently, and one of the speakers was on the Lincoln School Committee. Mario was his first name. He works for RIDE, and he said that in Lincoln they did an extensive polling or survey of the parents who send their kids to BVP, and he said overwhelmingly that their biggest concern and the reason they stated for sending their children was the scheduling, not so much the days off, but the scheduling before and after. They open an hour earlier, end an hour later. So he said Lincoln was able to recoup a lot of those children back to the public schools by accommodating those concerns of the parents. So maybe that would be something we should look into, not only with the before and after, but also with the vacation schedule and the days off, and see how it coincides with the BVP, and maybe survey some of the parents and ask them if there's any concerns they have. If we're going to make, trying to, reintegrate the BVP kids and come on back into the public schools, we should maybe start to reach out to some of the parents.
For a survey, if you have any questions you want me to put out there, we can do that before the next meeting.
Yeah. I guess the biggest one would be, what's the main, top 3 reasons why you send your children to BVP, and a couple of them maybe we can't do anything about, but we might be able to change something up and make it more agreeable for them to try to bring their kids back.
Thank you. Any other questions? Ms. Smith? Oh, sorry.
If I could just add to what Mr. Dean is saying too, because we hear it a lot, and that is we have Alphabet, but they don't have any availability during a school vacation week. And I think that is a big factor, especially in a dual working home or a single family home or single parent home, that there needs to be more option availability to these families. And I'm wondering if we should be speaking with Alphabet or working with another company about that on school breaks.
We're actually going out to bid this year on that topic, so you could put that into your bid.
That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Next is discussion and a vote to approve homeschool instruction requests for the 2024-2025 year. Do I have a motion? Motion by Ms. Goldstein. Second by Mr. Bacon. All in favor? Aye. That passes 6-0. Ms. Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair. There were no bills this evening, so there was no vote. However, we did have 5 resolutions that we discussed, SCPR 1-2025-04 through -08. All of these passed fiscal subcommittee 3-0, and I would move passage on all 5.
Ms. Smith makes a motion to pass all 5 resolutions, SC-PR-1-2025-04 through SC-PR-1-2025-08. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Bacon. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes 6-0. Next, school committee comments, school liaison reports. Anyone have a report? Okay. Oh, sorry, Ms. Smith.
I just want to congratulate the indoor track girls and boys. They had an outstanding meet this past weekend, and congratulations. They just continue to take home the hardware, I guess you say, in the business, right? And it's really nice to see how that program just continues to grow and the accolades that they're receiving. So congratulations to all of them.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I'm sorry. Do you have a comment, Mr. Bacon? Oh, sorry.
So, last school committee meeting, we had a parent who said that one of the policies was not being followed, and it turned out that that was indeed the case. I just wanted to let parents know that I've been told the school committee is not allowed to get involved in policy matters unless it's grieved to the school committee. So I don't know how that could have been grieved to the school committee. Just wanted to put that out there because a lot of this happens in a vacuum. As somebody who was watching the last meeting might be wondering what happened with that. So.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have a report, school liaison? Okay. Dr. Thornton, do we need to go into executive session?
No, we don't.
Can I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Bacon,
Second.
second by Ms. Shea. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 6-0. We will adjourn Thursday, January 23rd at 7:34 PM.